everybody, and welcome to All Things Possible, The Solution. We have an amazing podcast for you today, and I have some very, very special guests that I've come to know and love in the past year, and they have a lot of great things going on. So I'm your host, Barretta Robinson, and we're looking forward to have a great conversation just to learn a little bit about families and ministry and how we tie all that together to make it a success for the life of each other and each and every one of us. So I'd like to welcome you and thank you. I want to introduce my guest today. My very special friends and associates, co-workers, anything church Christian, we're all in. Yes. So we today my guests are going to share some information about ministry that they're going into, and it's a very unique ministry, but everyone plays a big part in it, and it's marriage. If you're not married, or if you're thinking about it, or if you are married, this will be a great conversation for you to listen in. So my special guest today is Timothy Davis and Lavonica Davis. So I just want to give you a minute to tell a little bit about yourself before we jump into the whole kid and caboodle, because we have a lot to talk about today. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Lavonica.
So like she said, thanks for having us on, Barretta. It definitely is an honor, and I really appreciate it. My name is Lavonica Davis, and I am from a little town called Hope, Arkansas. So it's actually southwest Arkansas. And then, but now currently we live in High Springs, and I don't want to get too much information, but just know that we do love God and that it has been a journey. Marriage is definitely a beautiful thing, and God has blessed us to be able to be together. And we just can't wait to be able to share with everyone our story.
Okay. All right. Tim.
All right. My name is Timothy Davis. Reside in Hot Springs, Arkansas, from Warren, Arkansas, known for tomatoes and football. That's mostly what people know us for. And like Lavonica said, we're super excited. We do appreciate this opportunity to be able to share our story and what we are going into. So, yes.
Okay. Well, I'm excited, and I'm glad you're here to come all the way to our small city, Batesville. And one thing I love about what you said, we're all from small towns, and we have different backgrounds, and we do different things, but our center, our goal and what we do evolves around doing the right thing, living out this life and walking it as a Christian, and not just labeling ourselves as Christian, but actually producing that lifestyle and walking in that. So I know today we're going to talk about the ministry that you guys are moving into, and marriage ministry and counseling. I do want to put out there, I've been married for 29 years, and I think that I'm still learning some things over time, and I feel like I'm going to learn something today because of the how you two come together in your life. So, and then you do have a book. I want to, if you can see this, I'm going to hold it up. So this is a book that Tim and Lavonica has written, A Message of Notification. So we're going to talk about this a little bit all today. So we're going to start with my next question is, how did it all begin with this book?
So Tim, would you like to get started with that one since he made the first move?
Well, how it all began, Barretta, is simply is exactly what it says, a message notification. I messaged her on Facebook, and that's how it all began, by me sending her a message. And the message was very simple. It just said, hey, I was friends with her sister. Okay. And I saw her picture on there, and I didn't know who she was. I knew her dad through church. And so I just began to just text her and just said, hello. And she texted back and said, hey, do I supposed to know you? So that's kind of the start. But We're gonna let her.
Let's just break it down. He slid in my DMs.
I like it. I like it.
So he slid in my DMs, had no clue who he was, and he just said, "Hey," and I was like, "Hey, do I supposed to know you?" And of course, he was a stranger to social media, so I'm like, "Oh my goodness!" So I had a lot going on, as we say in the world today. I had a lot going on. And I was been divorced for a year now. I was married to my ex-husband for 11 years, and we had 3 kids. And so I did also, in the midst of that, I so-called had a relationship with my high school sweetheart during this time when he slid in my DMs.
Okay.
And so it was like nothing. I went to his profile page. I was like, I don't know him. I seen he was friends with my sister, and that was it. So I was like, it wasn't nothing. It's like, okay, do I supposed to know you? And then he was like, no, but I know your dad and all these things like that. And so it began to grow into like, hey, good morning, how you doing? And then he started asking me to text. He started giving me his number to text him. And I was like, no, I'm not texting him at all. No, I'm not texting him. And so every morning or in whatever time it was, he kept saying, hey, how you doing? I love to exchange numbers. And I wouldn't do it. So tell him why you were trying to give me your number so badly.
Well, the reason why I was trying to give her my number, because the location that I was at, it was kind of like on the outskirts of town, and my internet just wasn't working too good. And I wanted to,
small town.
yeah. And so the small town, and what happened was, I always had to go to social media, but then I had to come back and check it, and that was it. But being that if she had my number, we could communicate.
Oh, okay.
And so my Wi-Fi wasn't working too good. To be honest with you, I had to go up to McDonald's to get on their Wi-Fi, and it was just more of a house. Okay, yeah. So I said, let me just give her my number. If she can just get my number, we can communicate better that way.
That'll be a good excuse to get a number.
Yeah.
I probably would have gave you my number.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So what ended up happening is that I never forget. I was at church on a Sunday. Mm-hmm. And people don't believe in prophecy, but I do. And so this guy prophesied to me, and he said that God is about to make you happy. And he said, what you're getting ready to do, no one's going to understand it. Okay. So by me being with my so-called former sweetheart, I was planning on moving to Dallas with him. So I was like, yeah, no, they're not going to understand that. So that's what I thought it was. And so then I was telling Tim on that Sunday, he messaged me for the number. And I was getting ready to tell him that I was going to move to Dallas. I never told him about I was with someone or anything like that. So instead of messaging him, I decided to go on and text him that information. So that's the first time I texted him was on that Sunday that I was going to go on to move to Dallas. And that's how he got my number. And y'all, he just started saying, good morning. He texted me, good morning. How you doing? I'm praying for you today. And things like that.
Okay. All right.
Your prayer works.
It does. I have to agree. So, in your relationship, fast forward. Mm-hmm. If you got any details in the middle of that, just kind of tell your marriage, how you got married and how marriage started, and blending everything together.
Would you like to So I would like to get a short version because it's definitely a divine story. How I was, like I said, I had 2 people, and I got tired because I was like, I know this guy that my high school sweetheart is not the same person. Mm-hmm. I know he didn't really have God in his life. So I was just fooling myself. So a lot of time as women, we want something, but we know that God is saying no. We see all the red flags, but we continue because we want what we want. But then I got to a point where I was like, I'm tired of, I'm going to jump out of the kettle into the frying pan, as we say. Basically, that meaning that I'm going out of the same situation I just got out of with my ex-husband and going back into another one. And I realized this is not God's will for my life. So I prayed. I said, y'all, I gave up. I said, God, let your will be done in my life. I'm just tired of myself making bad decisions when it comes to men. And so I was facing the east side of the wall, and I said, Lord, let your will be done in my life. And then I heard God, it was an audible voice, but it was in my spirit say, you're about to miss out on something great. Tim, that is. So I feel like he called Tim's name out so I wouldn't be confused with the other guy. Mm-hmm. And so I said, God, if this man is for me, let him call me today. We never talked on the phone. And so we only been texting each other. So I got my phone, just realized my battery is dead. So I'm like, oh my goodness, I done prayed this prayer.
Got that? How you gonna help?
Yeah, how I'm gonna do it? So I went to everybody. I was working in a factory. No one had a charger. No one had a charger. So I made my mind up that when I got home, put my phone on charger, I'm going to break up with this guy that's going to be over with. I'm going to wait to see what the Lord's going to do with Tim. And so fast forward, I went home, did exactly that. I broke up with him, text him, broke up with him. He just, only thing he said, well, you're a piece of work. That was the only rebuttal. So he's like, let me go with peace. And so I was in revival and I began to just wait. And I was like, oh man, I just hope he calls. So end up, Tim texts me. And what you say, Tim? We're going to wrap this story up so we can get to the next part.
Basically, I just let her know, well, let me back up. So I was praying and I asked God for a sign. Didn't know that she was praying the same prayer, but I was all the way across the state and I was praying and said, God, let me see the sign that if this is the person for me, allow me to be able to call her today. Therefore, I knew that if I didn't hear her voice, I said, okay, I can move on and not have to pursue this. And so I prayed and I asked the Lord that. So when I text her, I asked her, could I call? And didn't know that she prayed the same thing and it just worked out. So the Bible is right. God is not the author of confusion.
Right.
So it was a clear sign that we was supposed to be together.
Okay. So when he texted me and I had yes, I was like a little kid, like 13 years old. I'm shaking. I was like, yes, you can call. Picked up and heard his heard his voice for the first time and just melted. Aww. And I just, we talked for until time for church where we were in revival. I went to the revival. He's like, call me, let me know how the revival went. And we talked for hours to basically the next morning because I got up early. And long story short, after that, basically it took 25 days and we were walking down the aisle.
Oh, didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
25 days, okay. Yes. 25 days from the day we met. We actually met. So on that Saturday we met, went to Shreveport. I told him I love him and I didn't mean to. It just slipped out. But what's in the heart, guess what's going to happen? We use that a lot when it comes to bad things, but what's in the heart is going to come out. So it was love in my heart. I fell in love with him the first day. Oh. And so 25 days later, we end up getting married after that Saturday.
Wow. That's amazing. That is a godsend. Amazing. It goes to show you that a lot of people say, is there love at first? Not necessarily first sight for you, first voice, audible voice. And it's something that when God is in the mix of it all, it, like you said, he's not the author of confusion. And then he brings everything clarity. Mm-hmm. He does bring clarity to us. So did you have anything else you want to say in reference to that? The 25. That's mind-blowing. I dated for 2 years, so all right, I like it.
But we don't recommend that for everybody.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it doesn't work for everybody.
Well, so I do have something. Yeah, it was a God thing because that wasn't our character. That wasn't my character. Right. I really wasn't planning on getting married again because I went through a previous divorce as well. But God had a different route for me. Okay. And so when he showed me the sign, the writing was on the wall. And when he showed me that sign, I said, okay, God, I'm going to follow your lead. And
okay. So now that y'all married, tell us a little bit about the family, because she said she had 3 children when she divorced, and you say you're divorced. So tell us a little bit of how we blend this family. And, it's a different story when you're just single and you married someone in 25 days. But you got 3 and you had 2?
I had 2 that lived with me.
That lived with you. So I knew this is going to be a headache altogether. Yeah. How did this work out?
Basically, we set up a program per se, to where we say, okay, we need to make sure we have some structure, because we knew that We had different parenting styles. We was raised with different backgrounds. And so basically we wanted to set an order before it even got started.
Okay.
So what we done was we had family discussion, family meetings. We had it to where it was a safe environment. I didn't know her girls. She didn't know my boys. We had to be able to come to some kind of agreement to make sure that we wasn't running no circus in the house. We had to put her background, her upbringing in mine, and we had to come up with our own to make sure that it worked for our children. Because how we was raised, they wasn't raised that way. And so we had to come up with something that make sure that it was fair for everyone. We was able to communicate. So we had open communication was the main factor.
But we have 8 kids all together.
Yeah, we have 8 all together.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
all
right.
together.
And with the 2, and like I shared a little piece last night with the 2 boys, I was into, because our youngest daughter at the time, she was 2, and she was just as tough as the boys. And so when she came in with 3 girls, I had to change my parenting style, which I was willing to do that because I haven't really raised girls before. And so when I done that, everything just blended. They actually partner up. And what I mean by that, my oldest son and her oldest daughter, they click. They whatever style or things, as they was coming up, they click. Our middle kids, they click. They was in the same grade, and then our youngest 2 clicked. Those was the 2.
And they was in the same grade.
They was in the same grade. So it made it easier doing that. And they kind of held each other accountable. Now, it wasn't easy, but it worked out.
Okay.
And they held each other accountable, even with school. If one of them slacking in school, they helped each other out with that. So it took a lot of pressure off us by doing so. It's like, hey, you got this homework. And if we didn't know it, or if they was trying not to do it, the other one kind of like, hey, no, we got to get it done because of the expectation. So,
all right. So I made that comment when I said, I know this is a headache because we hear so many bad stories when you bring blended families together, how nobody wants to be a part or reject the one set of kids, reject the other set or anything. But that goes to show you that all of this is of divine.
Yes.
Divinely orchestrated.
Yes.
Because it could have went really south and everything, the kids hate each other or whatever the case may be, don't like each other. But how you said they just kind of stepped up to the plate and made it. It's 25. I'm still stuck on this 25 days,
Yes.
25 days to bring it, and how you guys come together and say 2 different parenting styles, bring it together, and let's meet in the middle and make a compromise that works for everybody and not compromise anyone's feelings in the whole situation.
I would like.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was like, I think that because Barretta, one of the best things that we did was have a family meeting at the very beginning. So a lot of times parents talk or the husband and wife talk, but they never bring the kids in the midst. So it's like they're telling them what to do. Well, the very first family meeting we had, we made it basically made them have integrity and honesty. Say if someone did something to you, this is the time you bring it up. Don't have sidebars with us. Bring it to the whole family. We can talk about it. And so we were able to just implement that, having family. Somewhere we have family discussion, have family meetings on a regular basis. And then we start having life skills, PowerPoints, the whole 9 yards. So we were able to, hey, come up with a subject that you want to talk about. We start having life skills. So them was the things we implemented into our family to help us become a better blended family, because we did a lot of things together.
And another thing, kind of just going off of what she was saying, when we brought them involved, they took ownership. And when they took ownership, it wasn't like we pointed the finger or anything like that. No, they took ownership. If it's something they was dealing with in school, if it was something that they was dealing with amongst their family, my parenting style, her parenting style, we're going to address it. Because like I said, it was new to us. And I might be a little hard on the girls, but you got to come and tell me, because if you don't, you can't hold that against me, because I'm giving you an opportunity. And when they come to me, I have to be able to listen to them and listen to what they're saying, not saying I'm just a parent and you're going to do what I
I'm
say.
preparing you to child.
Yeah, I didn't use that method because I wanted to get better, and I allowed them to be open. So the bond that we have now is, second to none because of the open communication. They talk to me. It haven't been like a step father or step child. It was dad child
Day one.
since day one.
That's amazing. That's good. That I love it. And just to be you guys to be a witness or testimony that it can be done successfully. And I know right now you have 2 in college. Is that correct?
That's correct.
2 in college.
Three.
3 in college.
Yeah, one going back to RN
One
school.
getting their
Okay,
RNs.
see,
So,
and keeping that track. We know that a lot of, I will say, cultures don't. Things go south really quick in so many cultures. But how you guys made the initiative, stepped up, and said, "Hey, this is what we're going to be, and this is how it's going to work, and we want everybody to be involved and have
That's
a say in this and how we move forward, just to make everything very successful and stay on track." And I love it. So let's back up. I see everything is smooth sailing. So when challenges came, how did you deal with challenges in this blended family?
I knew that was coming, and one of our biggest challenges was favoritism.
Okay.
So that's going to be like the number one issue, probably the number 2. Most people have financial problems, and they have favoritism. Because I was at a point where even as a parent, you want to make sure that I'm just monitoring, making sure he's treating the girls like he's treating his kids. So that's how the challenges start. And it just takes one little seed to get you off track. And so it's what Tim always say, she looking at the size of the pork chop.
yeah.
And, got a growing son. He get the bigger pork chop. It's like, so we have to, Tim and I have to really talk about the phrase is like, he was like, everybody's not the same. They're not going to get the same thing across the board because they have different needs. And so we have to even talk to the kids because they try to have the sidebar with me about so-and-so getting this and I'm not getting that. And so we have to address the issue, like I said, back in the family meeting that y'all not going to get the same thing. So Tim probably want to say something about that.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest challenges was the favoritism. Because we had some that was in sports, and the boys, they ate a lot more, they drunk a lot more with their meals, and the girls was like, well, they getting 3 and I'm only getting 2. They wasn't going to eat 3, but they wanted 3 on their plate, and then they'll have it just to say, hey, it's equal. And it's like, no, we're not doing that. That's wasting food. And so they need it because they're growing, and that's something, and that was a real life situation even because of that. So with doing that, we addressed that. And once we shared with them the reason why we are doing what we're doing, they pretty much understood it.
Okay. So let's fast forward just a little bit more. We talked about the challenges, that everything. So this book was initiated by Tim, right?
By me for a college project.
Okay, for a college project. Okay, so let's go and let's talk about this book.
Okay.
And how it's leading into the marriage ministry that you guys are launching.
So the books got birthed when I was in college. And of course we went to college. We finished college together later in life. Tim pushed me I always had my associates, and Tim said, go and get your bachelor's. So I ended up just going. So in one of my classes, I had the elective for a film class. I had to do a film class, and I had to write a script. So I said, well, we got a good story. I'm going to write about it. And that's how it started. So when I shared it with my family, after I wrote it, and I made it A on it, I must say. Okay. But so they was like, that sounds like a really good book. And it literally took about 9 or 10 years in the making. It's like we was writing a little bit at a time. I had it, but I had to just kind of, it was formatted in script style, so I had to make it in book style. So we found someone that can edit the book for us, and he made it so smooth sailing. And it basically, you have to, if you're even beginning to even start writing a book, you have to type it out. Don't write it, type it out, and just start writing if you're trying to do it. And that's how the book got birthed. in it, and it's the way it's set up is so beautiful. I can't take credit for it. We give God the glory because it's literally he and she. So I say my part, how I felt, and then Tim come in and say his part. And we done heard so many great reviews. The person, I'm just letting y'all know now, they say once they get started reading it, you can't put it down.
Okay.
So
it's
I
like
we read it
book for me to take. So I can, I'll pray for it, but
that's for you.
Okay, good.
So
good,
they
good.
say that you read it mostly in one setting, but it's a his and her story, and then at the end we collaborate together. So that's how basically the book got started.
Okay, so I just the first chapter, it says writing backwards.
Mm-hmm. And in this book is our journey to our love story. So you're going to hear the backdrop of, you're going to begin to, like, we're on two separate ends of the state, but in the book, you're going to begin to see our life parallel where we don't even know each other, but we're experiencing the same things going on in our life. And it's like you're wide out, but then our life begins to parallel with each other. And so that's what you see in the book. So writing backwards meaning that we're going back into the past, like how I started. And the first chapter is basically just dealing with our exits and how we exit.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Right.
How we exit this situation. Yeah.
Okay. So just to skip down on this chapter here, because I want to really get into the ministry that you're moving forward into. Just chapter 4 said, what season is this?
Yes. So basically what this season is this, it's basically when you're going through life and you go through so many things, you gotta get confused because that's where y'all say you kind of like wearing winter clothes in the summer. You're so confused about what's going on in your life. And it's like, you can't figure out, like, I don't even know what season I'm in. I'm just here. And you'll see people, if you see someone in the wintertime walking with summer clothes on, you can tell something wrong with them. That's how it displays us mentally in our minds. We're literally not in the right season. And you get confused of what season that you're in your life. And that's what they're dealing with.
Chapter 7 caught my attention. It says, never have I ever. This is a game. I know a lot of people play this game as young kids, girls mainly, never have I ever. And then you have to tell the truth, right? Mm-hmm. What you never did or, okay.
So basically what that comes from, never have I ever, is basically dealing with where I never experienced this before in my life. And that's dealing with our love story. And then you think about with God, it's like never have I ever is a past present tense. It's basically looking at the part where Jesus shed his blood. But then it's for, he did it in the present tense, but it's to cover the future tense. And it's like the love that we share, even though like it's a present tense, but it's going to be so great. We already see that we're going to make it to the end. It's no more divorce for us. It's enough love in our present that's going to cover us for our future tense. And so I never experienced the things that I experienced with meeting him. He changed my life.
Okay. So just quick, but I want Tim to comment on this. But I want to make a statement too, because maybe 10 years ago, probably longer than that. Yeah. 10 years, I would say. I started telling my husband too, and not that we was in any trouble, but I was like, this is for life. Divorce is not an option. You know, because at that time, you're moving into a different phase in life, a different age. So it brings on different, people say you go through midlife crises and all of this stuff. So like you guys headed it off with your children by having those meetings. I started heading it off because I know that we're moving into a different phase in our marriage. And I'm like, started telling the situation or even speaking it over my marriage. Divorce is not an option.
Yes.
Because when my son left high school, most of his friends, I saw their parents separated, they divorced and everything. And then that's when I was like, no, this is not an option. If we can get through it individually, we sure can get through it together because you're so much better together or stronger. So she been talking about how she's so in love with Tim. Let me hear what Tim, how he's so in love with Lavonica. With the never have I ever. Okay.
So, and before I address that, what you said is so true. a lot of couples go through that once the kids are grown and out, because you have to seem like you have to start life all over again. And you ask yourself, do I even know this person that I married? What we done, because we had been in previous marriages before, we didn't want to do that. So the reason why we committed to life with this marriage, we don't use the word divorce.
Okay.
At all.
We don't threaten each other with it.
Don't play with
We don't play with it. We don't let it come out of our mouth. And the reason for that, we don't give it an opportunity to take root and grow. So the reason why I say that never have I ever, Lavonica is fun to be with. She's my best friend. When I travel, I like, sometimes even when I used to go to men's conferences, traveling all over the country, going to different conferences and things, dealing with ministry, I used to want her to come, but I knew she couldn't come because it was me and other men going to these conferences. She's my best friend. So with that being said, it's a lot of fun being with her. We've grown to love each other since the beginning. And we are very transparent. We are very transparent in that book right there that you're reading, and we're very transparent with each other. And that is what I believe that set us aside to say, okay, we are in this for the long haul.
Okay.
When the kids get out, when they get grown, we're still in it, because at the end of the day, they're going to go and get married, start their family, and it's going to be us. They going to love us. But they're not going to stay there and take care of us just to have someone to talk to. They're going to go on and live their lives, and we expect them to do that. But what happened to us? So we got to make sure that we nurture our marriage, which that's what we done. We nurtured it and make sure, hey, when the kids get growing out, it's still us. So we've been a united front since the beginning, and it's hard to break that because we've been united since the beginning. If it's something that I done, or maybe something that she done that neither one of us probably agree with, the children will never know. We're going to address it, later, but I'm going to roll with it, even if I'm like, hey, now we both in here. So whatever the consequence might bring, I believe that our love is strong enough to say, okay, we in it together. Even though we didn't, you got us in this. But we're going to talk a little later, but I'm in it with you. I'm not going to leave you in it.
Right.
And I believe that just strengthened us. So
okay. So the reason, and I made that comment about my marriage and saying, this is not an option. Because we found ourselves empty nesters. Like my son graduated 2015. A week later, 2 weeks later, it wasn't very long. He was shipped off to boot camp for military, the national. So I didn't want to go home, Lavonica. I dropped him off locally at the National Guard, and I thought I was going to be able to go to Little Rock with him and say my goodbyes. And that man looked at me like, "No, ma'am,
this is it.
This is it." So, and then when we went, I drove home, and I was like, I don't want to go to home. But I found myself, and then we found ourselves learning each other all over again, because it was all him, Michael taking care of him. So I get it from the beginning, marriages and people out there and a lot of times they find themselves after raising children, they don't have anything in common. So they pretty much build lives out within the life that they're living. So I love that you brought that up. So the last two chapters, I want to blend this together, Moments to Tell. Then you said love is in the air.
Love is in the air.
Okay, so to kind of conclude the book, so talk about those two chapters, and then we'll move on to spend our last few minutes here talking about your ministry. So let's talk about
the Moments to Tell, basically what you just heard, the story about when we met and asking God for the signs. And that just was a moment to tell the world that we feel like that is God's will, for that He divinely put us together, and we feel like it's His purpose and will to tell the world that He's still authoring love stories. That's what we want to tell the world. He's still authoring love stories, and love is in the air. That was our theme for our wedding. It was beautiful, very small wedding. Like I said, that it was just 25 days.
Yes.
So it wasn't even about the wedding. It was just about us being together. So we didn't put a whole lot of effort into like I sent out some kind of digital invitation. And then when we got to the church, one of the sisters at the church had decorated for us. We didn't have no decorations. They decorated for us and everything like that. So that's what's about Love is in the Air, is talking about that wedding day.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
And the thing is about it now, she didn't tell you this part, but she told me it's supposed to be, about 10 people maybe. And when we pulled up to the church, we saw about 20 or 25 cars, and I'm a numbers guy. So I'm thinking 10 people can't drive 25 cars. And when we got there, the church was full.
Uh-huh.
And so I was planning on being with 10 people, which it was good. They family and friends. But when I got in there, when I saw all the cars, I said, oh, wow, this is more than what I expected. So I'm used to it. I got in there and I was very happy because I saw the love. My mom came, my cousin came, and I had a few more people that came. We had at her dad's church. He's the pastor of the church, and he done our wedding. But just to see her family supporting, her friends supporting, they had it decorated nice and everything. And we was blown away because we wasn't even expecting half of that. Mm-mm. So to get in there and see it, I was shocked, but I was happy at the same time. So
that's good. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. That's beautiful story. Beautiful story. Now you're to the position and place in your life that you're ready to go share this story with couples, married couples, anybody that's looking to be married, anticipating. Tell us how you're going to move and transition this information that's in this book to seminars, workshops, events, being guests on platform, panelists on stage. So tell us a little bit about that so we can move into what's next to come.
What's next to come? Basically, that story we want to get our foot in the door with the book, basically letting people know that there is a divine love story for people, that for divorcees, that remember that there's not, you're not lost, you're not hopeless. God has someone waiting just for and tailor-made just for you. So give people hope. But on the other end of it, to give them hope, once it's when you're all love is in the air and you on a cloud 9, when you come off that cloud, there's a family. So going into more so the blended family. So our where our ministry is going to be bonded and blended. So bonded in marriage, blended in love, beautiful story. So that's kind of what we're going to, and be able to help couples and families as for blended, some of those tips with favoritism to like by finances and all that, anything's dealing with the blended family, any kind of problems and struggles that they having, which we haven't experienced at all. But something that we can share that we don't went through we've been married for 11 years now, 11 and a half years. So I believe our 11 years we have experience, and having 8 kids, we have enough experience to be able to share with people that about the blended family, that you can make it. Every blended family don't go under or struggle, that you can have small struggles, but there's a lot of victories in the struggle. That's the platforms we want to have the opportunities to talk to families about.
I like it because the platform that you're going to use is marriage, but then also involve the kids, because most marriage seminars now you just go in and talk about the he and the she, the you and me, what we've experienced. But I never really hear about the children and how we parented.
Yes.
In our marriage. So that's a good.
And then you just think about what you just said. In a marriage, the biggest part of our lives is our kids. They take a big chunk of our life. And so why not address those issues that can tear up the marriage or tear up the blended family or the kids? And so we even said that in the future, we're looking to bring our kids on set on some of these opportunities and let them share their story from a kid's point of view to help the parents how to even be better parents and being a blended family.
I love it.
Yeah, and just kind of going off of what she was saying is a lot of people, after they done been through a marriage and the kids leave, or if they go through a divorce, you got to be careful. Depression can set in, and other mental things can set into an individual, and they just think there's nobody out there for them. No one out there for them to rekindle their love. And if they're not careful, they'll just miss out. And so we letting people know, hey, look, God is still authoring love stories. Like I stated earlier, I wasn't even planning on getting married again. Surely not in 25 days. But when God showed me the sign, I had to follow his plan. And a lot of people don't understand that, hey, look, it's okay to get married. It's okay to be in love. It's okay to raise a family. And it don't have to be bad. If we, every day wasn't sunshine, but every day wasn't rain either. So we just took the good with the bad. We played off of strengths. That's one of our key things that we're going to talk about is how to play off of strengths. If you play off the strength, your family will be strong and united. That's one of the key tips that we're going to give. And like Lavonica said, to allow them to have a little part in that to be able to share. Because a lot of times how we was raised is pretty much what I say goes. Man, you can fight that battle and do that. But when your kids get grown, they probably going off and probably not coming back home for a while, and they have a resentment against you versus you include them in and allow them to take ownership. Even when they mess up, okay, you take ownership in this. There's going to be consequences, but we're still going to love you. We're not going to ostracize you. There'll be consequences, but then you right back in the fold. and once they take ownership, they own it. And that helps them. And a fun fact, and we'll be able to move on. So we asked them, we said, listen, have we been good parents or anything? How, when y'all ready to get your kids, how are y'all going to raise them? Y'all just going to let them do whatever they want to do? I said, oh, no, we're going to take a lot of these life skills because as they coming up, now some of them are still having kids, but now all the things that they didn't like, they say, we're going to implement this because it helped. But while they was going through it, I believe that some of them probably, they didn't say it, but I believe it was like, man, this is crazy. Why we got to do this? We probably the only family that's doing this. We had a lot of kickback. Some family like, why y'all got them kids doing that? Why y'all have them going through life skills? Why y'all teaching them how to do formal dinners?
We put restrictions on their phone. Turn your phone in.
Yeah, turn your phone in. You're not going to have that phone, not when you have school. Maybe on the weekend. We cut out the television during the week. You got homework. Go outside. Do something creative. Draw. Learn how to do a different activity. So our kids are pretty talented, I must say. They are talented. And I'm not just bragging on them or anything because of Lavonica and I, but they all have special gifts. They writers. They do quite a bit. And so we are proud of them.
That's good.
I would like to add, Barretta, about when you're talking about the blended family as well. So also we want to touch on that now that I'm an adult, I'm a part of a blended family with my dad. My mom passed away. He got remarried. Okay. So those issues with having blended family as an adult. So we can kind of touch on that as well with people on platforms because you think because I'm grown, you're next state over that you don't care. Where parents think their grown-up kids don't care, but it affects the whole family when your parent and grandkids, when your parents get married and now you're in the blended family.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So, we don't think about that. Yeah. We don't think about those issues. So I do believe that you both have a lot to offer. Information. One of the solutions for today is head it off. Whatever you see that could lead to something in a negative light, stop it. How you guys always just kind of bring it to the table and allow everybody to have room at the table with no consequences. Bring it there and then we'll discuss it and work it out. So today has been the solution for blended families. That's what I love about All Things Pop. All things are possible.
Yes.
Matthews 19:26. That's what he said. So my last thing, I want you to, I've been asking all the questions. So just share in about 2 minutes or so, each of you, what you would like to just share that I might not have asked or covered, or a nugget, maybe even a scripture that you live by that helps you get through. I know with a blended family, you probably have to refer to the word a lot, just to kind of help you get through some struggles.
I would just like to share when we shared with everyone about that first family meeting, we came up with a theme for our family, which is the chosen ones, and we put a scripture with it about we are peculiar people, a royal priesthood. And so, therefore, it's nothing like when you have a bull's eye, you have a goal for your family to be. If you don't put a path, a goal, or a theme, or a mission before them, it can go anywhere. So, whatever you want your family to be, you put it before them. So, all our kids know, if we pray together, we forgot to share that, we pray with our kids every night together. And in the morning before they go to school, we pray. And then when we get done praying, our theme say the chosen ones. That's what we say. And so we are the chosen ones. So I was like, that's a part of just setting the expectations for your family. So all our kids, they'll tell you they're a part of the chosen ones. And so having a theme, having a goal for your family, even if your family is not that yet, you put it before it. You put in the atmosphere. You affirm to your family who they are, and one day they're going to be exactly what you affirmed them that you was going to be, that they was going to be.
Agree with it.
One of the nuggets that I want to share is whatever your kid desire to be. Don't say you can't be that, but motivate them. The kids, they played a very unique part of basically of the blended family, and also with Lavonica and I. So we support our children. They didn't get it right all the time, but they strive for greatness. So one of the key things is to really, really, really look at your dynamics, make adjustment, address what needs to be addressed. Don't sweep it under the rug because it's easier that way. Because if you address the hard things up front, it'll have your future greater. And with that being said, we just excited about things that's going on right now. We are able to receive the fruits of our labor, seeing the benefits of it is all paying off now in the midst of it. Sometimes it don't seem like it would, but we're reaping the harvest now from the fruits of our labor.
That's good. It's been an amazing interview with you guys. I did ask if you had nuggets. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, my next thing is tell my listeners or the listeners how they can contact you, because somebody's going to be calling you to sit on their stage, come to their church, share this information.
Yes, you can contact us. Our phone number is 501-226-1055. And then also our website, you're able to contact us is www.tim, Tim, and Lavonica, that's A-N-D, Lavonica is LAVONICA.com. That's our website. And you can also purchase our book there, and also it's on Amazon.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's what I was going to hit. Go out and get this book. I really didn't know what a message notification was until you actually shared that today. So that's amazing. And one other thing, I wanted you to restate your brand. You said you gave a name to
Bonded and Blended.
Bonded and Blended.
Yes.
Okay. So now what I want to encourage you to do is go out. We're going to list this information, their contact information, and share it with you. So Bonded and Blended, that speaks volumes. I really, truly want to thank Tim and Lavonica for sharing their story with the social media world and being a testimony that things can happen in a positive way and not in a negative light, to where we can edify and continue to build the kingdom. You know, when we stay kingdom minded, kingdom purpose, kingdom driven, I believe that everybody that hears this is going to be blessed and take something from it to apply to their life and their families. So thank you. Any last words?
No, thank you.
Thank you for allowing us to.
Thank you. I've been your host with Barretta Robinson with All Things Possible to The Solution. You have God's solutions today. Thanks.
This broadcast is sponsored in part by Lyon College and by KILT Studios.